The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 24th day of August, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. I'm Jamel Hartman, along with the Michaela Ian, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break. Michaela, how was your long weekend?
It was a good weekend. It was really relaxing. Very relaxing. I had a rough week last week, as which I alluded to a little bit. And so being able to just completely relax. I went to Hamilton Princess Beach Club. That was amazing. Went swimming on Sunday. It was a vibe. But before I go on, I must shout out my Nana. It's her birthday today. Yvonne Pearman, also known as Wani. It's her 82nd birthday.
82nd. Hold on.
82.
Hold on. We gotta get Nana some
love. A little something.
Yeah. We gotta get, that's how we do it, Nana. Happy birthday, Nana.
It's her birthday today.
All right. Well, happy birthday to you, Nana. And wishing you many, many more years of happiness and good health. And good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today, as Tamara Richardson is stopping by to discuss the rising cost of doing business in Bermuda.
Yes.
This is a hot one, and it's kind of a continuation from last week where we spoke about, how ridiculous it is to continue comparing prices in Bermuda to the U.S. Yep. The daily play is a remember when, so Michaela will be guessing the year. Oh, and I think we have a stump, folks. I think we have a center stump.
We'll see.
But before we get into today's discussion, which is a very good one for you all, I think Bermudians, I'm going to say you love to travel, so you might have a lot of strong opinions on today. But Michaela, some of these folks missed you yesterday. I
missed everybody. I was like, this is so strange. Like, why am I not even on the show?
Well, Sherry and I, we just told them, she had a long weekend. She knocked back a few extra rosés, and no, really, it was first day of school for your boys. Talk to us.
Yes. So my oldest, Amari, has been at BI. This will be his third year now. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at my babies. Yes. And then Javi was at Seasons Learning Center, and now he's going into pre-K at BI. And he woke up at like 6:30 and he said about 5 times to Amari, "Are you ready for big boy school today?" So Javi was ready. He was upset that his shirt is so big. He doesn't understand. He does not like the socks. He's like, "Why are these up to my knees?" But he had a great day.
He loved it. That's all. Yes. I mean, long may it continue. But what I think the audience wants to know, Michaela.
Yes.
Okay, that's the answer to the question. Did she cry?
No, I didn't cry, and I didn't cry because Javi is just so strong-willed and independent. He is Michaela and a 4.5-year-old. So Javi was like, "Bye."
Oh, wow. God.
And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, bye. I'll see you later." But then apparently he cried after we left. So, yes. But if I had seen him cry, I probably would have cried because I just don't understand how he's already at BI,
time flies, kills. Time
it does.
Flies. It'll be his high school graduation, master's.
Don't do that to me.
Oh, my apologies.
Don't do that.
Uh, Happy first day of school to both your boys and everyone at Bermuda Institute. My sisters, is it alma mater? My sister's alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it's technically not my alma mater because I left after
you,
grade 7 because we moved to the US, but I did go to BI from 4 until 12.
Alrighty. Well, congrats to all the BI students and, of course, the educators up there who will be ensuring that they become the best citizens that the island could ever ask for.
Yes.
Today, we're going to be talking about what's happening in the world of travel. Obviously, Bermuda is a big tourist destination itself. We're travelers. Well, we do our best to entice travelers to visit the island. One of the things, and I'll read a bit from an article, before we even get into it. So the article we shared in our TDH chat, it had a paywall on it, right? So
yes.
I cannot stand that, folks. You get into this article, right? And then all of a sudden, to continue reading this, you need to, well, I found a way to stop that, but I also found it on another website. So I used ABC's website.
Okay.
The question, and let's just read a bit of the article. I'm not sure if you still have the other one up from, I think it was the Washington Post, but basically, folks, the title is What Travelers Can Expect from New Hotel Prices, Fees for Specific Amenities. Some MCR hotel guests can pay a base rate and add on what they need. What this means, folks, there's some changes, and they've already implemented it at some of these MCR hotels. One of the largest hotel owners in the country with 110 properties in 33 states said it will experiment with this new feature at New York's Highline Hotel and the retro hit TWA Hotel located at JFK Airport. What are these charges? The hotel will charge $25 to use the pool on weekends or a day pass at the gym. For guests who want early check-in, that will come with a $20 fee, and breakfast will run an additional $10 to $25. So basically, when one hotel starts, a lot of others will follow. So paying an extra $25 to use the gym, something that I actually do when I go to hotels, go to the swimming pool, to eat breakfast. I mean, to some hotels already have a high cost of operating and put that on to us, and there's already additional fees. Depending on where you go, there could be a resort fee. So the question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on new hotel fees? Michaela, something tells me you have something really good.
Listen, right? So I read this, and the thing that stuck out to me was that it said that the prices of rooms could go down as a result, right? So for me, I look at this, and I think it's very important for us to look at the fact that this is hotels and not resorts. It's a hotel, there's a difference between a hotel and a resort. So at first I was like, oh, they just want to nickel and dime everybody even further. Like the gym that you have usually is basic. Usually the pool's not that great. The breakfast is crap anyway. So like, I'm not eating it. But then I actually thought about it and I was like, you know what? If the price of the room has gone down, so just say the room's normally $150 a night, it goes down to $100 a night plus tax. It would have been $150 plus tax, right? So if I'm going to this hotel, just say I'm traveling for business, right? I'm probably not going to use the pool anyway. I'm probably not going to go to the gym, just say my meetings are early in the morning, etc. So on the one hand, I get it in terms of it's kind of a la carte, right? So I can just add in what I want. And I will say that New York hotels are not new to this. Like there's a couple hotels like Dream Downtown, and you have to pay to use the pool, even if you're staying at the hotel. On the weekend, you have to pay to use the pool. I think it's like $50. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I know that there are other resorts like in Miami where it's similar to that as well. You have to pay to use the pool during peak time, or you have a limited window. So like on one hand, I'm like, okay, travelers, you can just pay for what you want, a la carte. Your room price has gone down a little bit. I'm not mad at it. On the other hand, I'm like, isn't a hotel supposed to be an experience? Like, so you're just going to take all the things. You're just going to take it all, and you're literally just going to give me what my nana always says: a hotel is a place to sleep. So that's what you're going to do here. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I take all your points. I actually, and I think you rounded it up well. It's like the idea of staying at a hotel is to be able to have access to those things, not just on like, well, I may need it, so let me drop $25, but to have access. No, me personally, I've said this on this show on a couple of occasions. I don't do public pools anyway, right? So you don't have to worry about me getting in a hotel pool, regardless of the brand or whatever, how big, how small. I just don't do it. However, there are people who legit, they may have small children and they just want to say, you know what, we're not going to get out to an experience or explore today. Let us just go down to the pool. To know that you were unable to get into that pool where you're staying for the week because you need to go to the front desk and pay an extra $25 or something, it's an inconvenience.
Per person per day as well. So it's not like it's just a one little fee. No. It's like a per person per day fee.
And Cherie Dill has a question. She's asking, are they cutting the cost of the rooms? I assume use of facilities is included in the fees. From the article I read, Cherie, I mean, without the paywall, I should say, from ABC News, it seems like they're making it look like they're taking it off the price of the room.
Yeah.
But in truth, we know full well how this works. We know full well this is all about maximizing profit, growing revenue in the most cost-effective way possible. So Terry K is asking, is this cost per guest? Well, again, the article doesn't go into detail like that. Well, the one I got past the paywall.
Well, I will say the TWA hotel, which is referenced in this, which is the hotel at JFK, it is per guest.
Per guest.
So you pay $25 per guest for 90-minute access to the pool.
Well. Folks, what are your thoughts? You're already paying astronomical rates for hotels. What are your thoughts on new hotel fees? No,
I mean, to me, it just seems like really rich white men, because that's what it is. Really, really wealthy white men trying to become even more wealthy by screwing their customers over.
Well, I mean, there are certain hotels right now due to the pandemic where they've cut down on
cleaning.
Yes, cleaning services. Yes, so housekeeping and so on. And I truly believe that many of these hotels are going to continue that post-pandemic, not because of the safety issue, but because the cost issue. Saying, you know what, if you want to get your room service, then this is the fee every day. Now, I know some chains, I believe it may be Marriott. I could be wrong, but Marriott, I believe, if you don't use cleaning service on a daily basis, you get additional points or something like that. I could be wrong. Correct me, folks. But if you don't get cleaning service every day, you get additional points or something to that matter. Sean Smith, Michaela.
That's part of the reason why you choose certain hotels based on the amenities that they offer, and it's normally included in the hotel room price. Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between a hotel and a resort. So I think we need to bear that in mind because, like, for instance, I'm planning Orlando/Disney for December. And all the resorts that I'm looking at, I'm making sure there is a ton of stuff that's included in that resort fee because it's a resort fee per day. So, like, I want a resort with multiple pools. I want a lazy river. I want, all these things so that my $50 a day resort fee makes sense. Because, I mean, how many of us actually stay at properties? We have this exorbitant resort fee and then we don't even do anything.
Yeah, this is true. Terry K. Michaela.
The only one that bothers me is the gym. I don't use the pool, but I love a little gym access, and half the time they have the bare minimum. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, and she says also in a panorama, though, I might just forgo their gym and work out on my own, so let me save some coins. Rick Olson goes on to say, I see it similar to baggage fees on airlines. Well, interestingly enough, remember, not this maybe many people who are just traveling in the last 10 years wouldn't remember that you never really had to pay for baggage the way you do now. But also some airlines, if I'm not mistaken, you have to pay for take your check, not your check, what's the thing? The carry-on. Right?
Yeah. So in the article, it actually likened it to airlines and their a la carte options. So you pay this much for one bag, you pay this much for two bags. If you pay for your bag ahead of time, it costs this much. If you pay for your bag at the airport, it costs even more. Oh, you want something to eat? You got to pay for that too. Oh, you want headphones? Great. You got to pay for that. You want a pillow? Ooh, pay for that too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get it in that regard. I will say I do miss the days of travel when you didn't pay for things and you got meals. So.
No. Well, I honestly, during my travels back the other day, they gave me some cheap ass pretzels and a ginger ale, and I'm just like, man, growing up, Eastern Airlines and US Air and
Listen.
Continental, you actually got like a meal. You know what I'm
You
saying?
used
British
to get a
Airways.
whole meal. Even like when I used to fly, because we lived in Massachusetts and I would come home every summer. We would come home every summer to spend the summer with my dad. And I remember like you used to get a nice breakfast,
Mhm,
a nice breakfast on the plane. And my brother used to he used to love getting on the plane because it didn't matter what time of day, he could get a ginger ale, whether it was 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, he could get a ginger ale, And now it's just like,
yeah. Midge says nickel and dime. Sam Cat Place, she says, I guess it all boils down to wants versus needs. Wait, what is more important? Life would be much simpler. Well, interestingly enough, that ties into our conversation with Tamara as well. Wants versus needs.
Yeah, but see, I also don't like that argument, wants versus needs, because if I'm staying at a hotel, sure, I don't need a pool. Sure, I don't need, complimentary warm chocolate chip cookies. Sure, I don't need a robe, but I want all of it.
Yeah.
I want it all because I'm having an experience.
So here's the other side of the question. Do you believe that, I mean, we can look at the airlines, right?
Yeah.
Did the baggage policies hurt the airlines? Do you believe that this will actually hurt hotels that choose to do something like this? Do you think that people will, especially families, will say, you know what? Nope, we'll just go to an Airbnb. Because remember, the hotel industry was already under, intense pressure from
Yeah.
Airbnbs and so on, right?
I mean, I guess it depends on the quality. Like, I'm a firm believer of my hotel or resort is meant to be an experience. I love amenities. I stay at hotels because the room is great, because the reviews are great, and because there are incredible amenities. That's just how I am. So for me, I guess it just depends on the kind of traveler. If you're a nickel and dime traveler, then this is not for you. But if you're a traveler like me, you want all the things. So like, for instance, one of my former clients, she's a travel concierge, and she stayed at the TW Hotel in JFK earlier this year. And she did a whole review on it. And I was like, oh, sis, I need to go stay at that hotel next time I have a layover. And she was very clear about the fact that you have to pay to use the pool. You only get 90 minutes. It's more, no, I think you only get an hour, actually. She's like, it's more than enough time. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to book that pool because it looks amazing. Like, being able to be in a pool at sunset on the runway. Yeah, I'm going to pay $25 for that. I'm not bothered.
Yeah. Sean Smith says, I guess I will start renting houses or Airbnb. But then Leslie White says Airbnbs are starting to charge fees too, and the prices are starting to creep up. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says it is sad because it appears that the hotels are using the present circumstances to make money, plain and simple. Well, you know what? I'm going to take a different take, right? And I think, again, this ties into the conversation we're about to have with Tamara, is at the end of the day, I do understand the consumer part. We're consumers, right?
Yes.
In this respect. But the truth is, folks, we may look at it as they're taking advantage of the current circumstances, but I can repeat this over and over. A hotel's a business. And as a business, they have to do what they have to do to maximize their profit. That's what a business exists for. It's not a charity, right? It's not a charity. And so let's be honest. What most hotels, we don't have to see their books, but most hotels haven't made $1 in the last 18 months.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. As consumers, we have a choice. There are hotels that I will not stay in because it doesn't include Wi-Fi. There are hotels that I won't stay in. Like, for instance, if you go to Vegas, the resort fee is like $90, $100 a day. And I'm like, for what? Because they have this amenity. So for me, I'm like, I'm not paying all that money every day. So let me find somewhere else where the resort is still incredible, but the resort fee isn't as high, So we have a choice, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Let's go through this last comment before we bring Leanna in. Ella?
It's more feasible to get an all-inclusive hotel if you're vacationing. Everything is paid up front like a cruise. You only pay tips at the end, but that's only if you want to. I've done all-inclusive in DR and foreign international hotels. See, I'm not a big fan of all-inclusive.
Me either.
I don't like I'm a big food person, and yeah.
Leslie White says Mark is correct. Hotels aren't resorts, are charging resort fees and have for a while. Yeah, and I think I'm glad Michaela brought that up earlier because in tourism, working in there, I remember people saying I would rather the hotel just include the resort fee into the price rather than saying the price is this and then adding this, then
Yeah.
it's found fascinating from Americans because you all have been telling me chicken sandwich is 99 cents, and then when I get there is $1.08. Like, just include the tax in it. You know what I'm saying? Stop lying to me.
Agree.
All right, let's bring Lee into the conversation. Lee, come
Good
on now.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So when you travel, they're telling me, because we know you love a gym. We know you're pumping weights like you could body slam me and Michaela together. They're telling me they're going to charge you an extra $25 to go lift some weights, Lee.
I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this at all. Not at all. I mean, okay, we already know there's hidden fees, hidden taxes every which way. Every time you travel, just like you just stated, Jamel, you go somewhere and you think it's going to be one price and it ends up being another. I'm not for it. I'm sorry. I'm not.
You heard it, folks. Lee ain't for it. Kale's is iffy. And me, look, I just need a family member wherever I'm traveling.
Listen, pack a bag, come sleep on the couch, you know.
Yeah, no.
You'll say
Absolutely
no.
We need our space, folks. We need our space, if you get what I'm saying. All right, Lee, over to you. It's a PG. Show's PG. Show is PG. Over to you, Lee, for today's news break.
Thanks, Jamela, Michaela, and good morning to everyone who is tuned in with us. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our daily hour news break. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. After 8 long months since being introduced to the world as a tool to help slow the spread of the coronavirus, the Pfizer vaccine was yesterday given full approval by U.S. authorities. Now, the Food and Drug Administration gave the vaccine its strongest endorsement on the grounds of the massive amount of evidence that it is safe. Janet Woodcock of the acting FDA commissioner said, quote, "The public can be very confident that this vaccine meets the high standards for safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing quality the FDA requires of an approved product," end quote. Now, Health Minister Kim Wilson also welcomed the news, saying it was a good use for those individuals who have delayed getting vaccinated until the FDA fully approved the vaccine. Now, she is hopeful that this move will encourage people to get vaccinated as soon as possible. In other news, the feud continues. Premier David Byrd has responded to the BIU's threat of a 2-day shutdown next week, claiming it is more to do with internal Progressive Labor Party politics than controversial changes to labor legislation. Now, Premier Byrd stated in a letter to Bermuda Industrial Union President Chris Ferbert that a demand for him and the Labor Minister Jason Hayward to resign was a personal attack and based on a false premise. The counterattack was launched following a letter from Mr. Ferbert appealing to the government to amend labor laws which allowed non-unionized members to vote on decertification, the process where staff in a bargaining unit can choose to no longer be represented by a union. Now, Mr. Ferbert said Mr. Byrd and Mr. Hayward should resign if they fail to back down. But as we reported yesterday, government showed no signs of bowing out quietly. Mr. Byrd wrote in a reply that Mr. Ferbert's letter was, quote, based on a false premise, which he said he had taken the time to explain to both the general counsel and Mr. Ferbert on several occasions, end quote. Now, he also said that the government has done more to strengthen the position of the BIU and those it represents with these new laws in a clear and codified demonstration of common interest and bond. He also said that his term in office or of office had been strengthened by often open and unvarnished criticism. And a jump in coronavirus cases led to 4 extra students getting scholarships to study abroad. The Hamilton Princess and Beach Club yesterday donated over $40,000 to education charity Knowledge Quest after the Bermuda Sail GP Grand Prix had reduced its planned educational programs because of the spike in coronavirus cases in April. The donation to Knowledge Quest is in line with Sail GP's Inspire program, which was designed to promote science, technology, engineering, and maths education, career pathways, and access to racing for young people, regardless of their gender or socioeconomic background. Hamilton Princess General Manager Tim Morrison said the program provides an admirable and vital resource to Bermudians in their pursuit of education, and they are delighted to be able to support them in their mission. Knowledge Quest has so far provided college and university scholarships to more than 230 Bermudians since 2002. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 87 and a low near 78 degrees. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds. High pressure remains dominant and will maintain the current hazy and dry weather over the island. Now, we can expect mostly sunny days and partly cloudy nights, besides for one or two passing showers, mainly on Wednesday as a weak inverted trough passes. We will continue to monitor the broad trough of low pressure to the very distant southeast for potential tropical development to our east towards the weekend. That's all for our Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to the studio with Jamal and Michaela for today's Daily Focus.
All right, Lee, thanks so much for that. But I want to go back to the first story. Here's what's interesting. You mentioned the Pfizer
Pfizer vaccine. Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing some folks that were saying it's not even FDA approved, so I'm not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said, well, many things that were approved were FDA approved have come before the courts for lawsuits and so on. So now that it's been approved, I'm interested to see how those who were using that argument are going to respond, because now they'll probably take my argument where I was saying, well, tons of things that have been FDA approved have harmed people. So just thank you for that. I'm interested to see what the global response is going to be for people who are against this vaccine.
Oh, for sure. I think this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and also, I think that Michaela and I should turn into Don King. Looks like it's a scrap happening between the premier and the president of the BIU. So keep your eyes out on that, folks.
Heating up. That kitchen is on fire.
I'm going to be in one corner. Michaela's going to be the other. You can be the referee. Thanks much, Lee. See you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
Bye. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Tamara Richardson with today's Daily Focus. Stick with us. This is a conversation that all Bermudians need to be a part of.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's favorite distributor of fine beverages, has brought us a new and refreshing thirst quencher just in time for the approaching warm weather. Hint Water in 7 luscious flavors. Hint Water is slaking the thirst of active people who need pure hydration, low on the glycemic index, and want the kind of taste experience that keeps them coming back to try the next flavor. For those who've been giving water a miss, Hint may win you over. Hint Water. No sugar, no additives, all flavor. Lynn knows. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Michaela and I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. Once again, thank you to Liana for that news break. It's an interesting thing between the union and the government. And I'm gonna put the popcorn down and just sip on some non-alcoholic wine as I watch this play out.
I'm eating the popcorn.
Well, it's good balance, Chaos. But today we're welcoming Tamara into the conversation. Last week, you and I discussed pretty much Bermudians comparing the prices in Bermuda of goods to the prices in the US, which I think was just crazy, especially shopping on Amazon versus shopping at a local retail place. So without further ado, let's bring Tamara into conversation. And folks, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to get to as many as possible, but I know don't feel slighted if I don't get to you. You can always reach out to our guests on your own. Welcome to the show, Tamara. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. Morning.
Good morning.
We're okay. I mean, couple of fees here, a couple of fees there, but it's all about business and life changes. We got to evolve with it or get left behind, right?
At least know what's coming so you can prepare. That's always my philosophy.
Oh, I love the way you think. Well, since we need to know what's coming, so last week we actually spoke, as I just mentioned, Michaela and I, we were speaking about how ridiculous it was, in our opinion, to kind of keep comparing the cost in Bermuda of goods to the cost in the US. And let's just all things honest, you are the vice president at People's Pharmacy, and you recently wrote a tweet, a Twitter thread, which was well received. I mean, I can I say it went viral? The tweet went viral, and in that,
I'm just an FB auntie. I don't know what Twitter speak is, but yes, I did write that. But also, full disclosure, I'm not an economist. I'm simply a person who thinks that you should be able to explain things in layman's terms to people and have honest conversations. You don't need charts. You don't need degrees. So let's have that conversation.
And the way you broke it down in that Twitter thread was what I think people are expecting from those you mentioned, like the economists, because you spoke on inflation and government's hidden taxes, and you pretty much really wrote it because you wanted people to understand what's coming and prepare for it, as you just stated.
I think at the end I talked about like me coming in peace, sort of just trying to be that canary in the coal mine. Because of the position I'm in as the vice president of People's Pharmacy, I can already see well into the future the increased costs of doing business. Those costs begin to impact us at the wholesale level because we're reaching out into Asia, bringing goods across the ocean. And I already know that that same boat that used to cost my suppliers $3,000 to come across the ocean now costs them $18,000. So you can imagine the impact once those goods then get on another boat and have to come to Bermuda. So I continue to see these myths being peddled about our economic situation. A lot of the myths revolve around greed, which is a word we love to throw out in Bermuda, revolve around this sort of rob Peter to pay Paul philosophy, as if, both Peter or Paul can keep having it to give for you to keep robbing one to pay the other. And the myth that, we can keep voting for people to save us.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. So I want to ask you, how have you seen the cost of doing business rise during the pandemic specifically?
So economics, you pay no matter what. You either pay in money or you pay in time. And in COVID, the space available coming out of China was non-existent. So in order to get let's face it, I sell drugs, which people need to stay alive. In order to get those drugs into Bermuda, I had to pay money so that people didn't have to pay in time, because time costs lives. So you're talking about FedEx shipments that, would have cost me $1,000 pre-COVID, cost me $10,000 to put things into Bermuda. Now, thankfully, we have an insurance setup in Bermuda where we can absorb those types of costs because our copay is heavily covered. Unfortunately, as more and more people become uninsured, that puts much more pressure on all of us to find more cost-effective ways of delivering healthcare. Wow. But I cannot undermine the fact that you can't evaporate cost simply because it sounds great politically, right? The cost is the cost. And in order for us to deliver goods and services to you, we won't exist if we don't cover our costs and make a profit.
Of course. So let's talk about bringing things in, because people are always talking about how certain items cost more than double in Bermuda than they do on Amazon. I feel like this conversation is not going anywhere. What is your response to that?
So that is such a multifaceted problem. The first thing that I have to say is that time is a factor. So let's just take the example of the most popular Barbie doll. I ordered the most popular Barbie doll in February or March if I wanted it on the shelves for November and December. So
Wow.
in February and March, my price is locked in. The amount I'm getting in are locked in. And it takes me until relatively September to get it into Bermuda and on the shelves. In the meantime, Amazon, I'm just guessing, I'm assuming Amazon can predict the demand because they have much more powerful tools than us. And they can say, you know what? I can make $1 on this doll because I'm going to sell 1 billion of them, let's say, right?
Right.
So they can almost tell Mattel what they're going to pay for that Barbie doll, get it in, sell whatever they need to sell at $1, and then by September, slash that price and make 50 cents because they're still going to make more than that little mom and pop shop in Bermuda who way back in February was locked in at a certain price.
That's
But
really
you know,
interesting.
nothing controls pricing better than you leaving it on the shelf. Like it's as simple as that. And next Christmas, don't get upset when there aren't any Barbie dolls there. And then you have to go and yes, get your less expensive Barbie doll from Amazon, but pay, I don't want to call it, but pay the freight companies more and more to bring it in. Like it always balances out. That's how a free market works.
Right.
But is our market really free? But that's a whole different conversation.
Ooh.
So you dove into this just a little bit at the end. So I want to talk about duty. How does the cost of duty impact a business and its profits? And I ask this because I feel like last week you were talking about the cost of duty on like chocolates and things versus other items. So how does that impact everything?
Nothing is an easy answer, but what I will say is that different goods have different rates of duty. And so, for example, clothing has a 6.5% rate of duty. So a clothing seller can make a much higher margin on clothing because they are giving less of that first cost to government. The majority of goods in let's leave grocery store out, but in a pharmacy, let's say, cost us 25%. So already for that same $100, a clothing trader is giving government 6.5%. A pharmacy is giving government 25% before they even sell anything, before they even, unpack it. So obviously that's going to lead to a very, we have less ability to match costs.
This is all just so fascinating.
But you know what? It's not an excuse because I truly, honestly, I appreciate the slams, let's call it what it is, that we got on Mayor's list because we have to do better. I have to do better at knowing that the price I paid in February, I need to adjust for the margin that I expect to get in December because I have to adjust for the Amazon effect. That's fine. And that's fair. And so we continue to try to do better. But, to act as if there's this greed that goes on, to me, it's a little bit unfair because we are all buyers and sellers, right? When you go to get a job, you're a seller of your services. And as a seller, you want maximum for your services, right? You don't go to a job and say, pay me the minimum. Right. No, you want to get paid the maximum. So
of course,
I think we just need to think a little bit more broadly and not just, default to greed, because at the end of the day, we all need each other. Buyers need sellers and sellers need buyers.
Right. Absolutely. So what's something that you wish consumers knew about the hidden cost of running a product-based business in Bermuda?
If it was as easy as people say it is, then more people would be doing it, right? Why? If grocery stores were so greedy, what grocery stores have opened in the last decade? If grocery stores were so greedy, you see often these pop-ups where people are going to bring in a container and sell it at lower prices. Does that happen consistently? At the end of the day, I want to go out on a limb here. I'm not a grocery store operator, but I would like to think that competition, buyers and sellers come into agreements, controls prices better than laws and regulations. But maybe I'm an idealist. Maybe I'm maybe now I sit in a seat and forget what it was like to be in another seat. I don't know. But if it was that easy, more people would be doing it.
Right. Absolutely. And that brings me to my next question. Do you feel that Bermuda makes it easy for entrepreneurs? Why or why not?
Bermuda is in the unique position of needing dollars, US dollars, not having very many opportunities for us to get US dollars outside of tourism, outside of international business. So in terms of, does it make it easy? No, it doesn't, because the size of our government, I'm not talking about political parties, I'm talking about government as a whole. The size of our government continues to grow, and that growth needs to be paid for. And in order to pay for that growth, taxes and regular licenses and fees creates a huge barrier to entry for that person just starting out, who not only needs to find capital to start a business, but they also need to be able to cover all of these things that add to the cost of doing business. When you just look at the cannabis legislation that's coming down the pipeline, who is going to be able to start a business in cannabis with those already built-in first costs?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on that briefly when the premiere was on. Was it last month? But yeah, interesting. Very interesting. So let me ask you this. If you could change just one thing about doing business in Bermuda, what would that be and why?
Honestly, if I could change one thing, it would be the uncertainty right now. If we're talking about right now, as a business person, there is so much uncertainty about what my costs of doing business are going to be year over year. I know that at some point, the tax man must come, right? There's only so long, whether it's for political gain or not, there's only so long you can delay charging us more to pay and cover the ever-growing deficit. There's only so long we can kick that proverbial can down the road. That puts us as business people in a holding pattern, right? I can't go out and invest in my business as I would freely want to, because I don't know whether or not I'm going to be operating in the same environment next year as I am this year, COVID aside, right?
Yeah.
COVID was enough of a slap to all of us. And right now, speaking of COVID, imagine restaurants. How is a restaurant even supposed to plan if they don't even know if they're going to be able to operate? Like, uncertainty is the death knell for economic markets. So right now, if there was anything I could change, it would be, can we just talk honestly about the plan for the future? Politics aside, like, as a community, let's get real.
Yeah. I want to go back. I'm still stuck on 3,000 to 18,000, I think you said.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's one, you can spread that across whatever. Let's say it's $1 million in the container, but the message is at least 7%, right, is going to be tacked onto the cost of my goods to cover that increase, because my vendors also aren't a charity.
Yeah, well, I use that example because I feel like, and this is not just stuck to this conversation. One of the things I noticed, and you mentioned the list. I unless someone brings it to my attention, I don't see what's in those lists. But I feel like, and this is just my reality based on my observations, we have a very uneducated community when it comes to business. Let's just, and this can go back to education, like business not being taught to us. And if you're not surrounded by people in business or entrepreneurs or self-employed people, you probably don't have a true concept of it. So again, using those terms you used earlier, greed, like every time a price goes up, you look at, oh, well, they're just being greedy. We don't look at the cost of doing business. We just look at, oh, why do I have to pay more? Our guest tomorrow, Zach Moniz from Linda's, actually wrote an article a couple months ago which touched on this, like even that ship that was stuck in the canal over there, and he explained how that impacts the rising cost.
Yeah.
My hope is that, folks who are listening or watching this show right now, is that you share these conversations so that when people go on social media and start to complain about the cost of something, they actually have a true understanding of why the cost is what it is. Because at the end of the day, I would hate to believe, obviously it's been stated on this show that, businesses operate to make a profit. drive revenue to make a profit. If they're not doing that, what is the point of existing?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? It's not a charity, folks. I said it on this show numerous times. People's Pharmacy, you have cashiers, correct?
Yes.
That's a service to the community. That, like, if I mean, it's a service to the community. It is. I mean, I say it all the time. I go to different pharmacies and grocery stores in the U.S. and you want to compare the U.S. prices? Well, guess what?
But you also, it's fair, compare U.S. prices, but compare U.S. wages.
Exactly.
What does an Amazon worker make compared to a People's Pharmacy cashier?
Correct.
What benefits does an Amazon worker get, right? I read stories about their delivery people having to use the bathroom in a bottle. And, you know, I'm not here to debate the capitalism with a conscience is basically what it's called. But, you know, at the end of the day, a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. Don't just get caught up in the rhetoric. Start asking yourself some questions. Look at your import costs as you've been bringing in your goods and services from Amazon, right? Look at in the medical profession. Yes, you can pay less, but there will also be less supply. How hard is it to get a dental appointment right now in Bermuda, right? Because the ability of dentists, obviously, to come, and if they were that greedy, there will be a whole lot more here, and we would all be able to rock up to the dentist tomorrow when we needed them. So nothing happens in a vacuum. You can't magically make life better. We all have to put our heads together. We all have to be prepared to sacrifice in some way. And business, like, what's business? It's just people. It's either shareholders, it's employers, or it's the customers. Somebody's going to pay the price of these increased costs. Sugar tax 75% to get us more healthy. Somebody's paying that extra percent. It's either going to be the customer, it's either going to be the employee, meaning I'm going to have less employees or pay less, or it's going to be my shareholders.
Yeah, and we're not healthier.
Well, you're not going to be like the hotels and start charging people to use a cart while in the store. I'm joking. I'm just saying they might start charging for towels to wash. Just take your Malcolm Marina. If you have any questions or comments for Tamara, feel free to just shoot them in the comments and we'll get through as many as possible. Malcolm Marina is asking, as a merchant, would you like to see individual consumers charged a higher import tax than merchants in order to encourage more people to shop locally and create/save jobs?
I'm all about freedom of choice. If you choose to do that, then my job as a merchant is to give you more value for the dollars you do spend in my shop, to give you more of a customer service experience, right? That what Michaela described when she goes into a resort, that's my job. If you choose to go shop on Amazon, bring it in, all I want you to know is the knock-on effect of you continuing to do that. My job as a business person is to respond to that and just do business better.
We have another one. Renee Sherilyn Simmons, she's asking, if you're buying bulk or wholesale, isn't it cheaper to import?
As a business, yes, but bulk is relative. My bulk compared to Amazon's bulk is, you know, there is no comparison. So yes, it is cheaper if I buy in bulk. So for example, People's Pharmacy surely can bring in something cheaper than a small business, you know, in our neighborhoods. So I'm not sure exactly what she was getting at.
I wouldn't consider anything bulk when it comes to Bermuda when comparing it to Target, Walmart, Amazon. Also,
just one other point on that, People's Pharmacy in Bermuda isn't the wholesaler. We purchase at wholesale and resell. So just to clear that up. Now we do import certain things ourselves, and that is where we've been able to do better and obviously need to get even better. Because for at least 40 to 50% of my goods, I'm just the reseller. I'm not the wholesaler.
So for clarity, wholesalers would be the Butterfield and Vellas, the BGAs, and the like folks. So that's where she's saying as far as wholesale. Let's go through some questions. Sean Smith's asking, are you in favor of sales tax and doing away with customer duties, or do you favor the current system?
I feel like we're just moving numbers around, right? Whether I pay it or whether the customer pays it, at the end of the day, it has to get paid. At the end of the day, the more government tries to extract, somebody has to pay it. I'm either going to pay it directly and then raise my cost to you as the customer, or you're going to pay less at the register and then have to turn around and submit your tax or whatever to government. So instead of talking about who's paying it, why aren't we talking about government every year not asking for more, but let's talk about how we can get government to a point where they need less.
Yeah, indeed. Crystal Lynn L, she's asking, did government decrease duty and wharfage costs during COVID-19 for you?
No.
Wow.
She couldn't even have a poker page.
I need to remember we're live, right? No.
Yeah, we are live.
I mean, ask the restaurants and the tour boat operators where their costs of doing business decreased for the months that they were closed. I'm not here selfishly just representing People's Pharmacy. I'm here to say business as a whole, if we fail, our community fails. Not everybody in Bermuda works in international business. So it's incumbent upon us to get it right. It really is.
Yeah, I really appreciate conversations like this. And thank you for accepting the invite on short notice, Tamara, because, you know, when we spoke last week, I think Michaela and I were both saying, you know, hopefully we can get, you know, people who are in this space, not necessarily expert economists, but people who are in this space to actually speak from their perspective on what it's like in these spaces to do business in Bermuda. What do you feel as far as, and Michaela asked a similar question earlier, but what is the biggest threat? I know you mentioned like taxes. As the debt grows, you know, the government's pretty much trying to tax its way out of the situation. And as it does that, it actually is putting a squeeze on local businesses. But are taxes the biggest threat? And how do we address that if it is?
Are taxes the biggest threat? I mean, every country in the world grapples with this. I wouldn't say taxes are the biggest threat. I would say the growing bureaucracy and the ever increasing cost of our government is a threat. Right now in 2021, how many of our tax dollars go to children who need, you know, protection through social services? How many of our dollars go to teachers who need more and more, versus how many of our dollars just go to pay the interest on our debt? Like, I really hope we understand that you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but the person you're robbing is that child who needs more services, that teacher who needs more in terms of salary and benefits to be able to properly educate our children to see us out of this 20 years from now. So in truth, the threat is actually the fact that we all aren't appreciative of how much these free lunches have cost us.
Free lunches, free buses, you name it.
Free education.
Yeah, everything has a cost. And I remember when I think
everything has a cost. It's either going to be dollars or it's going to be time. Right?
Yeah.
We can hold down the cost of your healthcare. We absolutely can. But how long will you wait for it? And can you afford to wait? I can hold down the cost of you seeing an oncologist. But how long are you going to have to get in line? And is your cancer going to grow? Like, come on, we have to give real life examples. We can't just keep saying supply and demand as if, you know, magically that's the only thing we have to that's the only rule of economics that applies.
Yeah, indeed. I would love to continue this on, and we'll definitely be having many more conversations like this as we go forward, Tamara, but we have to go. Thank you so much, honestly, such short notice. And if you don't already, just look at the handle at Tamara Donnell. I'm not sure if she's going to be sharing a lot of wisdom like she did last week. Hopefully she does, because like I said, I think what I was impressed most about your tweet last week were the amount of young people that latched onto it. And thanked her, and like it got people talking on Twitter. And if you you know, you're not familiar with Twitter, that's where a lot of young Bermudians go for good discussion. So I appreciate you. Thank you for you know, always making time for the Daily Hour, and we hope to have you back more. Well, we'll have you back more often.
You're welcome. Parting words: consume less, invest more. That's all. That's
love it.
Consume less, invest more.
Consume less, invest more. Thanks so much, Tamara, and we'll be in touch. Talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love it. I mean, again,
Listen, this is the thing. This is why I like having someone like Tammy on, because the economists can say whatever it is, but are the economists running a business?
Yeah, yeah.
Do they have to pay employees, et cetera, et cetera? No, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who's actually in the weeds day in and day out, they get it.
Indeed. If you appreciated that conversation with Tamara Janelle, please, folks, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We will be having many more conversations like that. We just need to, and I'm grateful for Michaela, Sherry, Larry, and Leanna, because my team, you know, they put the work in, folks. We don't just wake up and say we're going to discuss this. We, you know, read, we connect with the right people, and I'm grateful for the audience for engaging in these conversations and sharing these conversations. We're going to take a quick break before we wrap it up. Daily Play, you know how it works. If you get the answer before Michaela, you win something. All right, here we go.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio. Tune in every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. BCG Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All right, time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Michaela, are you ready?
Ready, ready, ready.
All right, here we go, folks. If you got the answer before Michaela, you win something. What year did the U.S. Naval Air Base and U.S. Naval Annex close in Bermuda?
95.
She don't even give you all a chance, man.
Did you forget that I grew up in St. David's?
You know, someone said to me this weekend about Michaela, folks. So sitting off, chilling. This was Saturday morning. And they said, Michaela knows the most random things. Like she is really good. And I'm just like, honestly, it shocks me. And not because she's not an intelligent person, but her information, the way she retains information, folks, like you would think that, I don't know.
Listen, let me give you like a 15-second explanation. So a friend of mine had me do a color personality test, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And I came out as red. Red people are motivated by power. They need to know everything. They like to be right. And so those are just a few things within the red personality. But when I read it, I felt a little attacked. And then I was like, actually, no, this is 110% me. So it makes sense. I want to know all the things, because you never know who you're going to be in conversation with, right?
This is true. Like, honestly, you never know who you may end up speaking with. And you want to make sure that, you know what, you have an idea of what this conversation is about. But this is what, look, folks, I always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, there's a problem. I mean, she's the smartest person in the room.
I mean, this current room.
Smarter person in this current room, so it's a problem for her. But anyway, look, when Larry comes, he's the smartest with sports. I think, you know, we all got our strong points. But Kales, what are your final thoughts on today's episode?
I just thought this was a really good conversation. I appreciated Tamara coming on and giving us some insight. I am a loyal customer of People's Pharmacy. I grew up in People's Pharmacy. My dad was the manager throughout my whole childhood. So I have all the time in the world for People's Pharmacy. And it frustrates me when people are always on these lists, bad mouthing their prices, because like, it's not greed. Like, People's Pharmacy is not greedy. They're trying to do their best. So like, how about we stop?
Yeah, I think, I mean, beyond People's Pharmacy, I just think, you know, as we said last week, understanding how business works is key to any of these conversations. Thinking that everything's yes, Bermuda is very high. The only thing I would say to people, and I'm no expert, I'm no economist, I will just say to folks, sometimes it comes down to how we live our lives and how we spend, not necessarily what we're being charged. Sometimes
Yes.
it comes down to the changes we need to make. I know you've got some daily inspiration for us, Kills.
I sure do. This one is from Alice Walker. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any.
I love that one. I love that one.
Yes.
Folks, I just dropped the link for YouTube in the comments, so make sure that if you haven't already, you go over there, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Changes are coming, so make sure you go over there and subscribe. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications and Linda's, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Don't forget to give us a love, a like, something, just show some reaction to us based on today's show. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, do make it a great day. We're out. Peace.